What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1Tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials, pick up your premium membership. It is 50 cents a day. And don't forget to stop by CMPKits.com and get yourself a copy of Trap Chords for Scalar Volume Le Uno. It is 40 presets for scalar, trap chord progressions, not just your simple 1, 2, 3 stuff. And don't worry, if you have Live and you have FL Studio and you don't have a copy of scalar, that's fine, bro. Buy the product anyway, because we included the MIDI for y'all boys. That's right, we don't discriminate. We make it possible for everyone to participate. Now today we're going to be looking at how to make the good sample, I call it, from Jackboys, because a lot of the music on there is pretty simple and straightforward, but there's this one piece on the song with Quavo, and it's a gem, and it sounds something like this.
I know you had enough. I know you had enough. Stay a while.
Okay, so what I went ahead and did is I extracted the acapella. Now we can play it without the acapella. So a couple things that you'll notice off jump is that there is, you got an organ in there, you got a guitar, you have some unique vocal phrases in there, and you have drums. And more than anything, you'll notice that this sample has a very vintage feel. So that's what we're going to be going through is this sample. I suspect, I don't know 100%, but through my research, I believe that this, because a couple producers worked on the beat, but I believe that this part of the song was composed by Leon Michaels and his band L. Michaels. Leon Michaels is somebody, he's a musician that started out before there was a Frank Dukes or, MG the Future teaching everybody to make lo-fi, or, RC20 and Q beats and shit like that. This guy had a passion for making, throwback type of music for himself. He wasn't doing it with the intention of getting placements in rap or anything. And he wound up, opening up for like Raekwon shows, and then began getting notoriety through this album that him and his band made called Return to the 37th Chamber, where they replayed and interpolated Wu-Tang instrumentals, like not the original samples but the actual instrumentals. It's really dope. Check it out on YouTube. It's Ed. And then he was, he went on to be sampled by like DJ Premier and Just Blaze, and so therefore I wanted to do something close to what he did. Typically I would not make, like if I was going to sell this sample or put it in a pack, I wouldn't make it this close. But part of the process when you're learning how to compose samples in a manner that is like more throwback 60s 70s vibey is you remake a sample and you get to see what the methods and techniques are, and some of the chord structures and stuff like that, and then you do it again and you make your own. The first thing that I did was I took the first part of the original Jackboy song and I flew it up to the chord track. Now for me, I don't need to go and do these complex chord changes here, and this is what I would advise against when you use chord track or when you use Melodyne in these applications. If you take 16 bars and there's a bunch of changes, don't stress yourself out with the changes. That's how you guys get overwhelmed and quit. You just find something that's easy to work with, right? So I just found these 3 chords: F sharp minor, G major 7th, and a G6, right? And this is just a sound I like from Labs. And that just sounded awesome. It sounded absolutely beautiful. So my first instinct was like, oh, okay, let me go to scale quantize and make sure I've got it right. So F sharp minor, boom, we go to that scale, and then when I slid over here, I said, wait a second, this note isn't in the scale. Shoot, and then I slid over a little bit more. And I was like, man, I got a note that isn't in the scale. I don't know what's going on here. But it's close. So what I decided to do was I decided to get a little crazy. Okay. Got a little nuts. And I unclicked this. And I said, for the rest of the sample, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use ghost notes, right? So then I'm listening to it and I'm like, this doesn't really have a lot of girth to it. So I added another EP, and I just lowered this down an octave, right? Nothing crazy. Now, if you guys have this plugin, this is only the UAD version. Just having this on a lot of sounds, it will make them sound different. And I put this plugin on, keys, pads, strings. If I have something like that, a sustained instrument, I use this plugin because I just like the vibe. Didn't really do much. Then I wanted to start getting more into like that 60s realm, and the best instrument, in my opinion, for getting there quickly is this instrument right here. Again, same chords going on. We're just stacking right now. We're not doing anything crazy. Now I'm tripping balls, man. Boom. So now that I got my chord structure set up, all we need to do is just find a little guitar action. And on this guy, to further emphasize like the whole 60s, vibey aspect of it, go straight to Valhalla delay. And in doing so, gave me a nice vibe. Anytime you want to go like 60s Valhalla delay, it's $50. It's amazing. And you put that past mode on, and it just takes you there. Next thing that I went ahead and added was just a simple guitar melody. Now, how did I get this melody? This is, I'm just using, because I don't have the scale lock, and I'm a shook one and I don't want to play the wrong note, I just went ahead and used the ghost note feature in Studio One. Boom. Okay. And I just went ahead and traced out a rhythm. Very simple, very easy, nice and spaced out. When you're making, something like this, you don't want to crowd it, with a corny ass like trap melody. Nah, bro, you got to think about it as in you're actually recreating something that a band would play, a dope band at that. Now I moved on to the vocals. This is my secret weapon. I'm gonna show it to you guys because I'm probably gonna fucking cancel this subscription soon anyway, so y'all could go and have fun with it. I've made plenty of money with this. This is East West Voices of Soul. Like the way that I use the phrase library, it's probably the most powerful thing when you want to make a sample that has like those types of vocal phrases in them, right? I'm following the chords. So the reason why I have two different instruments is because this part of the library, even though it says G, this is when you look at it, the preset is on F sharp. So while the F sharp chord is playing, what it does is it gives me a whole bunch of phrases. And those are all in the key of F sharp, right? And then when I get to this G6 right here, I switch down to this one right here, and it's a similar phrase library, and all these phrases are in the key of G, right? So I stay in harmony with the root note of the chords, and when I add these two guys in, you get this. So in doing so, the only things that I really treated these with was I just tweaked the Pad Magic preset in RC20. And the main thing that I did was I made it a bandpass filter with a very easy slope on the EQ, nothing crazy. A lot of old vocals, especially like old soul vocals, what they did to make the mic sound better and to make everything sound more beefy, especially in like Motown, was they purposely distorted the hell out of the recordings, because the harmonics gave the low end, so, kind of the same way that we do with our 808s, right? We distort them, to smithereens, so that so that the low end becomes more pronounced. So that's why a lot of vocals on the old Motown songs are distorted. So I went ahead and I wanted to replicate something like that, because this plugin is extremely clean. And it wound up working out pretty good, and that was the reason why I went ahead and high passed it and low passed it, because that's what you would have to do with those Motown songs, because the vocals were distorted so much. This guy is just a little accent in the song, and this is a very important sound. This sample is extremely mids without this sound. Like if you play this over and over again, it's very basic. And the thing that I had to do to make this sound cool was I'm using a B3, which if you're doing like soul stuff and you pick a preset like Soul Sacrifice from a B3, you're gonna be in the neighborhood. So in order to achieve this, I am just using a little bit of EQ rolling off the lows. And then this soft tube vintage amp. This is a very nice amp emulation amp and cabinet. When I go so you hear that? It sounds completely different. Then you throw this guy on it, instant drip. That sounds like what it's supposed to sound like. These drums are brought to you by Abbey Road 60s drummer. Why Abbey Road 60s drummer, CMP? Because it has the decade of which I'm trying to replicate. Like, just keep it simple, bro, but just don't be basic with your programming. So I went ahead and just programmed a very simple beat down here. These are the kicks. The snares are on the 3s. Up here, these are the hi-hats, and each one of these hi-hats are two different sounds, right? So a slightly different articulations, and it gives it a more real feel. So when you listen to it, I just took the kicks, I raised them up, okay, and then in between, again, when you use a multi-sampled library that has something like Addictive Drummer or Session Drummer or something like that, they have different samples, different drum articulations, and when you make a fill, that's what you really want to take advantage of. That's how you get a realistic sounding fill. So I use this snare and this snare, right? So it's like two different velocities hitting it. And then for this, these were originally snares that I had lifted up, and I was like, you know what? Let me use the rest of the drum. Let me use the rest of the drum kit. Let me hit a tom roll. So the most important part about this drum piece, however, is the processing, right? Without the processing, this is what it sounds like. And that's cool, but that is not this. See, so that makes all the difference in the world. I'm gonna show you how I did it. I used the Ampeg SVT VR Classic, using the normal setting. Ultra high is turned off. Ultra low is turned on. So what ultra low does is it boosts up the bass. I had to boost up the treble considerably on this to so that it sounded like a drum set and it didn't sound like something coming through the trunk of a car. And then the bass stayed where it was, and instantly when I put this on, it made the drum sound so much better. And then what I used to fatten it up was the Ampex tape emulator. This is, aside from using a Zulu, this is the most amazing tape replication plugin. Like nothing comes close to this. I don't care what you think you have. However, you don't need it. You can use whatever you want. It's fine, but this, if you use this shit, it's gonna be more fire. I use the drum CA Grunge Drum Room because that's what I'm going after. And initially it had this tape delay on, which made it sound trash, so I had to turn that off. And you hear the noise and the artifacts that it adds into the recording, again adding to the overall vibe of this, and you put it all together. Simple. So the point is, now that I've done this once, I know a couple things, like one, going into this, I know that I can use like two chords that I like the way that they sound. I know that I can start with a minor and then go to a major 7 and then move to a different gender of that next chord and create this type of vibe. So I never have to like open up chord track, and I think that's what a lot of people get twisted. They see you use chord track, like, oh, you're gonna be a crutch. Like, no, I'm finna learn something, and then what I take and I learn, I'm just going to apply on my own. I know that 3 stacks of a legato instrument is going to get me a nice sound. I know to match that with a guitar and an organ and a vocal sample is going to be nice. And I also figured out, because this is the first time I ever used this plugin chain, I also figured out an amazing drum chain that brings the Native Instruments Retro 60 kit to life in a significant way. So this is CMP with Craftmaster Productions, Studio1Tutorials.com. You guys keep it simple, but do not be basic. And we will see you on the next one, fam.